Okay, so coming Lama into focus area number 15, that is the last part of unit number 4. Now, this part is a bit difficult, not as easy as what you would have had in focus area 14. This is where Lama, we go into perfect competition in detail, where we talk about this profit maximizing level of output. We talk about, these profit diagrams, remember supernormal profit, normal profit, losses, shutting down, all of that is what this area is all about. So there is a bit of a cartoon as well, but since we don't have a lot of time, I'm not going to spend too much. But what is this cartoon on? You have someone in the middle. There is a 30% tariff. There is a GSP plus, something that is there. What's happening? So right now, if you looked at Lama, if you would have seen, I would have sent that in the past paper class group as well. So right now with Sri Lankan tariffs, right, what US has put, initially they put 44% tariff. Then after that, there was a bit of a pause, went down to 10%. And now in the most recent announcement that Trump has made, he has said from August onwards, we will have a 30% tariff on Sri Lankan exports. Now, again, now you have Sri Lanka's ministers saying that some goods of some exports will be exempted from the tariff. So what the actual deal looks like is still not finalized as of 18th July 2025. So we'll see how it goes. Then on the other end, Lama, you have the GSP plus. So we have not spoken a lot about it. I will be touching a little bit about this, Lama, on the current context. Remember in the fast track, the third week, we have this current context session. So there I will be touching about this whole GSP. How does it work? So GSP is what you call generalized system of preferences. This is where when we export goods to the European Union. So when we export goods to European Union, they have given us a bit of a concession on tariffs. So for example, if other countries export to the European Union countries, let's say they get tariff 30%. If Sri Lanka sends, some goods are at 0%, let's say some goods are at, let's say 5%, it's at lower rates. So we have a bit of an advantage there. That is what is happening with the EU. But now, even with this whole Trump's tariffs and all of that coming in, even this GSP plus thing is a little bit under threat. So different things running around on that end. We'll touch a little bit about it on the third week of the fast track. We'll go a bit more in detail, but I'm sure other teachers also would teach you all, whoever you all learned your theory from. Okay, so with that, Lama, we'll get into the questions, starting with the 2011 A-level paper. Okay, so 2011 A-level paper, question number 22. For a firm in equilibrium in perfect competition, average revenue is what? Less than margin revenue, equal to margin revenue? What can you say? AR and MR, average revenue and marginal revenue, they are equal to each other. No, remember, in perfect comparison, they were equal. Remember when we draw the graph, Lama, this was the price slash average revenue equals marginal revenue equals the demand curve. So you can say average revenue is equal to marginal revenue, and they are what? Are they zero or are they positive? They are not zero, Lama. Even if you look at the graph here, it's above zero. So it's positive. So what can you go with your answer then? Average revenue is equal to marginal revenue, and both of it is positive. Answer number 3. Then the next one, 2012. 2012 says, which of the following is true about the marginal revenue of a firm in perfect competition? We just drew the graph also. So I'll just draw the graph. If you draw the graph, Lama, you can get the answer for this. What is your answer? It is constant. It increases, decreases, increase at first and then decreases, decrease at first and then increases. Look at the graph. Marginal revenue is in perfect competition. Marginal revenue, Lama, is constant. Answer number 1. But remember, in other things, that is not in your syllabus though, right? In imperfect competition is what? Oligopoly, monopoly, monopolistic competition, they are all imperfect. In imperfect competition, this is how it will go, Lama. Just remember, Not in your syllabus, don't worry, but just for your additional information, in imperfect competition, it will be like this. You all will learn this level microecon at uni. So your demand curve is your average revenue curve. Your MR curve will go like this, right from the middle point of the demand curve. That is how the MR curve goes. That is the imperfect competition. So here the axis is lama. This is the price slash revenue slash cost axis. This is your quantity axis. Okay, that's the answer there. 2012 question number 16 is answer number 1. Previous one was lamai number 3. Then 2013. Okay. 13 says an industry consists of a large number of firms, all of which produces an identical product. So there is an industry. There are a large number of firms also. They have an identical product as well. Explain why the demand curve facing each firm is downward sloping. Now, demand curve is downward sloping. You are a price maker. Right? Now, for you to become a price taker, for you to be a price taker, there are 3 conditions. One is large number of firms. Large number of firms. Number 2 is identical product, or in other words, homogeneous. In other words, identical product. You are selling the same thing as other people. Now, can you tell me, in this question, even though there are large number of firms, even though there is an identical product, why do you think it was downward sloping level? How did the firm become a price maker? Why? Because that third condition was not met, no? What was the third condition? Third condition is you have to have perfect information. So if you have perfect information, if all of these 3 are met, only if all of these 3 are met, you will be a price taker. Even if one of this is not met, even if one of it is not met, Lamai, you end up becoming a price maker. So in this question, first condition met, second condition met. In the first line, they tell you. But even though the first and second condition is met, the question is saying the firm has a downward sloping curve. In other words, they are a price maker. Why? Because, Lamai, there would have not been perfect information. In other words, there would have been imperfect information. Now, I'll explain this to you with an example. Take the paddy farmers in Sri Lanka. Paddy farmers, large number of paddy farmers, 100,000 paddy farmers are there. Right? Large number of firms. All these paddy farmers are selling the exact same rice. Let's say all of them are selling the exact same samba rice. But let's say there is no perfect information. What is perfect information? Perfect information means the buyer and the seller knows everything. They have all the information. They know who and who is selling, what is the exact prices they are charging, right? What is the quality of the good? They know everything. So now think that there is no perfect information. If there is no perfect information, that means I don't know who and who is selling rice. I only know next to my house there is a shop. That fellow sells rice, only that I know. I don't know what is the price in the other shops. If that is the case, don't you think one individual person can increase the price and give? I go to one shop to buy rice. He says, let's say normal price is 100, but I don't know that. That fellow will say, sir, right, we have rice, sir, we are giving it 150. He can do that. He can do that because I don't know what is the actual price. So when there is imperfect information, there could be a situation where one seller might sell at a higher price. They can make their own price. Now, even think of this. Now, even if you take tuition classes, there is imperfect information. So as a consumer, now, for example, me, I don't do a lot of marketing. You would have never seen I have never boosted the ad on Facebook or Instagram. Not a single ad for the last 5 years was boosted on Facebook. Coincidence. I don't have a separate designer. I am the one who designs my own flyers. So because of that, of my time issue, you will have very little flyers. Sometimes I take the old flyer and just change a little and I put. So you might not have a lot of marketing on my end. But if you take certain other teachers, you might have so much of marketing. They might advertise on TV, RMA, all of that. Now, because of that, even that marketing thing, Lamai, you all don't get information. Now, for example, after O levels, there are teachers who might run ads on TV, social media campaigns. Some A-level teachers might even go to O-level seminars and they will advertise and brand themselves. They'll do all of that. And then they'll get the students. But maybe, I'm just saying, maybe for example, maybe I would have been a better teacher. But because of imperfect information, you never even knew that I exist. Not all of you all knew me from the beginning of A-levels. Some of you all would have known me, let's say, today. Some of you all would have got to know me, let's say, last week. That's the story there, right? So because of marketing, sometimes, Lamai, you miss out on a good product. Now, that's the same story even with phones. Even with phones, Lamai. Now, if you want a phone, if I ask you which phone you want, or most of you all will say that I want an iPhone. So that's the marketing, the brand that they have built. Maybe there is another phone out there that is better, but we don't know because we don't have perfect information. Maybe there is another phone. I also don't know. Right? Maybe there is another phone that looks better, better camera, better speed. There could be. But everyone's buying iPhones, maat ganne iPhone. So that's the story there. So if there is imperfect information, like coming back to my Paddy story, if there is, even though the first two conditions are met, if there is imperfect information, the producer can actually charge whatever price they want because consumers don't know. I go to the paddy farmer and say, I want a kilo of rice. He says, okay, 150. I don't know that everyone else is selling at 100. So I will even buy at 150 and come. So remember, for you to be a price taker, all three conditions have to be there. Right? So even if one of this is not there, you will have downward sloping curve. So this question is asking, why will the firm have downward sloping curve? Because the third factor, which is imperfect information, is that you don't have perfect information. So that's a good question number. Question number 19 from the 2013 paper. Then going to the next. 2013 question number 20. Now this also is a very interesting one. Listen carefully. This question says, Lamai, a perfectly competitive firm is producing 200 bags of rice per week, which it sells at 250 per bag. Table shows the firm's cost. Fixed cost, variable cost, marginal cost. They're asking you, in the short run, what should the firm do to maximize profits or minimize losses? So to answer this question, Lamai, I have a small framework. Okay, this question is repeated in multiple places. So I'm only explaining the framework today in detail. Next time when it comes, I'm not going to go into detail. So when you get a question like this can be an essay question also. They can ask you, what should the firm do to maximize profits? Explain. So remember, when you get a question like this, the first thing you have to do is, Lamai, you have to compare and see, right? Check if the price is more than the average variable cost. Okay. Are you at least covering your AVC? Or you have to check if your total revenue, price into quantity is total revenue, is the total revenue more than your total variable cost? That is the first thing that you have to check. Now, let's say you check this, Will. Let's say this is a yes, price is covering. So if this is a yes, right? If the answer for this is a yes, now you have to go and check the second condition. If the answer for this is a no, right? If you are not even covering your average variable cost, then what should you do now? If you are not even covering your average variable cost, what should you do? You need to shut down. No point continuing. If you're not even listening, you have to shut. If you are covering, then you will continue production. So if you are continuing production, Lamai, you have to compare what and what and what. You have to compare, Lamai, marginal revenue and marginal cost. If marginal revenue is more than marginal cost, right? You're earning more than what you're spending per unit. You have to increase production or increase output to maximize your profit. If your marginal cost is more, then what do you do? No, not average cost, average variable cost. What should you do? Then you have to decrease your output or decrease production to maximize profits. What if your MR is equal to MC? Then what do you do? That means you're already at the profit maximizing level. Then you need to maintain your output at the current level. So now we'll look at this question. We'll try to follow my steps and see how to get the answer. So first thing I told you to check is the price and the ABC, or total revenue and total variable cost. Either one of the two. Same thing. This is per unit. This is totals. So here they have told us price they have given Lamai 250. So price is 250. How much is the average variable cost? Total variable cost is 400. Number of units is 200. Sorry, 40,000. 40,000 is number of total variable. Number of units 200. Then how much is my average variable cost? 40,000 divided by 200. How much do you get? You get 200, right? So average variable cost here is 200. So then, Lamai, is the first condition met here? What do you all think? Is the price covering our average variable cost? Price is 250, ABC is 200. Yes, no? Then shutting down is not the option. Then you have to now compare and see. Now you go to the second condition. That means the firm will continue. So if the firm is continuing, now compare MR and MC. Marginal cost they have given. They have told us marginal cost is 250. How much is your marginal revenue? Marginal revenue they haven't given in the question. But you all know in perfect competition, the price is equal to marginal revenue. So menda balanna, price is also 250. Then MR is also 250. So marginal revenue and marginal cost are equal to each other. So then what should you do, Lavai? Should you increase your output, decrease your output, or maintain your output at the same level? You have to maintain output at the same level. Maintain this one. So answer number 5. So remember this process for answering this question now. You have to check the first condition, then you check the second condition. So I'll skip this a bit and I'll go into the 2017 paper. Right? 2017 paper had this same question a little bit different. Now, this was the paper that I did A-levels, right? 2017. And I'll tell you, I got this question wrong. Right? So even though I was among the top 50 in the island, how to approach this question, I did not know. Even though I taught it to you now, but I taught you now, I did not know when I was doing A-levels. Okay. So we'll follow that same approach, same story here. They've given the output, they've given the price, they've given all of that. They're asking you, the firm whose goal is profit maximizing should do what? So remember, first thing I told you is check if the price is more than the average variable cost. Or in other words, if your total revenue is more than your total variable cost. First check that level. How much do we get? Price is 6 rupees. Okay. How much is your average variable cost? Balan. No, total cost is 5,000. Total fixed cost is 4,000. How much is your total variable cost then? From the total cost 5,000, 1,000 is fixed. That means total variable cost is 4,000. Okay. Now, total variable cost divided by the number of units is average variable cost. Number of units is 500 output. How much is this? That is 8. Now, are you covering your average variable cost now? Are you covering? You're not even covering, no? So this condition is not met, Nilamai. So then what did I tell you to do? If the condition is not met, what should you do? You have to shut down. What does shutdown mean now? Is shutdown a complete closure? Does shutdown mean you completely close your thing and sell everything and go? No, shutdown is where you temporarily close now. Temporarily you don't produce. Now, recently I went to Ahangama, right, on a small trip. So what also I realized is there are so many cafes and all like that are temporarily closed. I would have given this example in class as well. So when it's the off season, now right now, Lama, it's the tourism off season. You don't have a lot of tourists coming. So when you don't have a lot of tourists coming, now especially this beachside, Ahangama and all of it, those cafes mainly run with tourists, Lama. So no point opening the cafe for 1 or 2 tourists. So they shut down it. Then again, I asked them when are they opening? They open somewhere around in October, around September. That is where they start. So then again, when the tourism peak season comes, so they start. So this hotel that I spoke with, they are open from August to May. June and July, they are shutting down. Because June and July is where tourists don't come at all. They temporarily close and they take a break. That's what you call shutdown now. A shutdown is where you reduce your output to 0. You don't produce. You just close it and keep. Not that you sell everything and go. You just close the restaurant and keep. No operation now. Okay. So then which one is your answer then? If the first condition is not met, do you have to check the second condition? No. You simply go and say, reduce output to 0. That is what you call shutdown. Now, what's the mistake I would have made, Laman? What do you think I would have made when I was doing A-levels? What was the mistake? I never knew about this first condition. When I was doing A-levels, I just knew MR and MC. MR is greater than increase output. MR is less than decrease output. Dekama equal than maintain output. So without checking the first condition, I directly went into the second condition because I didn't even know there is a condition like this. Directly, I went and compared MR and MC. Then I saw, MR is also 6 rupees. MC is also 6 rupees. Then what should you do? You leave output unchanged. Then I went with answer number 3. Then answer number 3 is wrong. Why can't 1 be the answer? No, it's not reduce output, but keep producing anyway. Shutting down is where you don't produce. Because when you shut down, your variable cost is 0. So you don't produce. So that's the story. That clear? How you use that same knowledge to get this MCQ done? I'll go back to the previous one. This is the condition story. So put that into your head properly, Lama. And remember now, even this, the more mistakes you make, Lama, you will understand it better. It's essential to cover your ABC, Lama, because if you can't even cover your variable cost, the loss that you make is very high. So now, let's say in my classes, if I can't even cover my tube printing cost, there is no point for me staying. So I would have proved that if you have my theory class recording, go and see why is that ABC thing the shutdown story. Right. What if they shut down but their loss leaving is greater than their loss is 10? No, it's like this. So you have to always compare your ABC and C. So if you can't even cover your variable cost, it's better for you to shut down. If you can cover, then even by making a loss, you will continue. That's how that goes. Right. That's the 2013, and then I did the 2017 question. We'll go to the next. So we'll try to finish 2014 off, and then we should be able to wrap off. So 2014 question number 17. The short run supply curve of a firm is. We talked about this even when we talked about sleep. They will give you MC level. Short run supply curve. Short run supply curve is what? You have the marginal cost curve. You have the average variable cost curve. Which one is the short run supply curve? Short run supply curve is the marginal cost curve above ABC, not the entire marginal cost curve. The MC curve above your minimum. This blue shaded part is the supply. So which one is your answer? Answer number 1, not number 3, Lama. It's not the entire rising part. It's the rising part above the minimum AV. So that's an easy one coming from your basic knowledge that you all have. The next one. The demand curve of a perfectly competitive firm is perfectly elastic because this could have been in the previous focus area. Why? Why is the demand curve perfectly elastic? Because the firm is a what? Because the firm is they are a price taker. No, I told you, if a firm is a price taker, you become a you have a perfectly elastic. Why is the firm a price taker? For that, you have 3 reasons. Large number of sellers, homogeneous product, perfect information. Done. Then the next one. The condition that should be satisfied at equilibrium of work. Equilibrium here means my profit maximization. No? So what is the condition for profit maximization or for a firm to be at equilibrium? MR should equal to MC when MC is increasing. MR should equal to MC when MC is decreasing. What do you think? So the condition is Lama, MR equals MC. MR equals MC when though? Now, for example, if you take this, let's say this is your MR curve and this is your MC curve. Now, this is also MR equals MC. This is also MR equals MC. The red dot is also MR equals MC. The green dot is also MR equals MC. But which one is your profit maximized? The red or the green? It's the green one that is your profit maximizer, not the red line. It's your MR equals MC when MC is increasing. So answer is number 1, not number 2. So please have that in mind. Okay. Right. We have a few more questions to do. We'll call it off for today. Anyway, next class I will finish off unit number 4. So we did a few things. We have a bit more to go. So next class will most likely be next Friday, but I want to have a few extra classes also, but my schedule is like so packed. I usually don't have classes on the weekend, but this weekend I have around 6 classes to do. So we'll get that done. That's the story there. Tomorrow, yes, fast track people, you will have a doubt clearing session that you have. Okay, so with that, we'll call it off. So next class, Lama, we'll finish off unit number 4, this entire tute. The class after that, we'll move into unit 5. So the tutes for unit number 5, I will send it to you very, very soon. So for those who have questions, please do stay and clarify. Others, I'll see you all next class. See you. Bye-bye.